Welcome to the Athena Wellness Podcast, the show that invites you to take a seat around the community fire and listen to stories that inspire. I'm your host, Kathy Robinson, author, coach, and founder of Athena Wellness, a company that's dedicated to supporting you on your journey to live more wholeheartedly. Hello, and welcome to episode 80. Thanks so much for joining me for this shortened Wellness Wednesday episode, a little midweek boost to help keep your warrior vibe high. Today I'm joined once again by holistic health practitioner, Dr. Leslie Kasanoff, who shares her thoughts on the importance of eating plant-based and simple steps you can take to increase fruit and veg in your diet. And now on to the show. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Once again, I'm joined by coach and chiropractor, Dr. Leslie Kasanoff. Welcome back to the show, Leslie.
Thanks.
So we talked a bit in the last episode on the importance of what's on the end of our fork. I'd like to get your thoughts on eating plant-based. And I know that doesn't mean purely vegan, but why is that important and how might somebody begin? I think a lot of times people are plant curious, for lack of a better term, but aren't really sure how to go about it. What would you suggest?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me speak to the importance part and then we'll double back.
Sure.
So the importance part is that everything that our bodies need comes from plants. Any vitamin or mineral you go back to that our bodies need or anything else comes from a plant. So we really do need that variety in our lives, and we need it on a regular basis. And you can look from the design of our mouth to the design of our gut to many other factors about our bodies were really designed to eat mostly plants. So that's a lot of the basic why. Mm-hmm. And the how-to, a pretty easy change to make is take the meat that you're eating or the animal food that you're eating and cut it into thirds, okay? And put the other 2/3 away for 2 other days and have that 1/3 amount. And then add an extra whole grain and an extra veggie. And that's going to just get you started in the right direction. And that's something that most people can handle because they're used to making a piece of meat, some kind of veggie, and some kind of grain. So you increase the grain, you increase the veggies, or you add an extra. And that's a good place to start.
That's a wonderful piece of advice. It's really more about minimizing certain things over time and kind of mixing and matching rather than here's what you need to do. And it becomes a big should, right?
Right. Now, within that, I will also say that it will be much better for you if you don't add any additional fat to those grains and you don't layer lots of calorie-rich, fat-rich dressing on, a salad or, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that's another conversation in and of itself, how to do that.
And actually, can you talk just a bit about processed food? Because, I've seen, and probably in my 20s, was a very unhealthy vegan for a while. You can be vegan and be very unhealthy. So Can you just talk a bit about the importance of whole foods versus something that is quote unquote a health food, whether it's a granola bar or something that can sit on a shelf for 20 years. Speak a bit about that.
Yeah. That just brought me back to, you can take a Twinkie and you can put it in a cabinet and you can leave it there for 10 years. It's never going to go bad. Well, if any self-respecting bacterium wouldn't eat it, why should I?
And I think Twinkies are vegan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anyway, what was the question?
So, yeah, it was just the difference between making these dietary changes, but being mindful of packaged or what sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
milk does a body good, right? You need to have protein to grow big and strong.
Mhm.
What's a good rule of thumb to make sure that what we're putting in our body, even though it may be marketed as being good for you, is actually good for you?
Okay. So there's a couple of ways you can look at this. One of the easiest ways is walk into your grocery store or wherever it else is that you shop and behave as though you are from the outbacks of Africa or South America or Australia or someplace you've never had contact with commercial Western society. And look at your grocery store from that perspective. What are you going to know? You're going to know fruit. You're going to know veggies. You're going to know beans. You're going to know a ton of different kinds of grains. The meat won't look directly familiar because it doesn't come in the same form that you're used to seeing it in, but you'll understand that that's meat.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff in the middle of the grocery store that's in a box or a package isn't going to mean anything to you.
Mm-hmm. No nutritional value.
Yeah. So, so that's one perspective. Another perspective, if I buy something packaged, I kind of like to look at it and say, okay, here's an ingredients list. Can I visualize what each of these things looks like? Okay. I look at an ingredients list and I see something like FD&C number 4. I don't know if it's a liquid, if it's a solid, what color it is. It'll say in parentheses what color it is. But it's like, I'm not putting that in my body.
Right, right.
Similarly with, things that have chemical names to them. Do you know what that is? And is it something that your body wants to consume?
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. Great words of wisdom. Thank you again, Leslie. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I know there are many ways you can spend your time. Thank you for choosing to spend it with me. Until our paths cross again, be kind to yourself and show your warrior spirit some love. If you know anyone who could benefit from today's episode, please pass it on. And many thanks for supporting the show by subscribing and leaving a review. It means a lot and it helps others find their way to our circle. If you'd like to access the show notes, have a question you'd like addressed on a future episode, or would like a transcript of this episode, visit www.athenawellness.com/podcast. Until next time, be well.